My parents always favored my sister, but when she discovered I had $22 million, she completely lost it at Thanksgiving dinner. My dad couldn't even get a word out. Sup Reddit, I, 29 male, was 12 when I realized my parents kept two versions of family history, one where I existed and one where I didn't matter. My sister Marin was 4 years older and made sure everyone knew she was the main attraction. Concert pianist by 10, debate team captain, straight A's like it was coded into her DNA. And here's the thing, she actually had talent. Her architectural sketches in high school showed real vision, spatial reasoning that would later make Northwestern professors call her generational. Our parents worshipped at her altar daily. My room? They'd walk past it like I was renting space from a stranger. Denver suburbs, late 2000s. House looked perfect from the street. Two-story colonial, manicured lawn, the whole American dream package. Inside was a different movie. Marin's bedroom was a trophy museum. Ribbons, medals, certificates plastered on every wall. Mom dusted them weekly like she was maintaining a shrine. My room had sports equipment I'd bought with lawn mowing money and a computer I'd assembled from spare parts. The financial scoreboard told the real story. Marin got new designer clothes every season. Entire Saturdays shopping with Mom. I got hand-me-downs from our neighbor's son, who was 3 inches shorter. My baseball team made state semifinals. Dad said he'd try to swing by if his sales meeting ended early. We won in extra innings. I pitched 7 strong and drove in the winning run. Scanned the stands afterward. Just Coach Nelson and his wife. Called home. Marin answered, "Dad's meeting ran late. Mom went with him. Congrats, I guess." Didn't even ask the score. Birthdays were the clearest indicator. Marin. Themed parties, catering, professional decorations, 30 kids, 6 weeks of planning. Me. Grocery store sheet cake, dinner at home. 1 year they forgot for 3 days. The pattern was identical for everything that mattered. School events, achievements, basic acknowledgement of existence. Marin got the spotlight. I got the scraps. I was done auditioning for an audience that would never clap. They wanted to pretend I was invisible? Fine. I'd build something so big they couldn't ignore it even if they tried. The difference was, I wasn't going to tell them about it until it was too late to take credit. They'd find out when everyone else did, when it was already finished. College was supposed to be freedom. Instead, it was another reminder that Marin's shadow stretched everywhere. Senior year of high school, kitchen table, reviewing financial aid packets. Mom pushed papers toward me. Most of the college fund went to Marin's education. Northwestern isn't cheap, and she's applying to grad school after. How much is left? She shuffled papers. About 6,000. Marin's education would cost close to 400 grand over 7 years. I got 6,000. Arizona State offered partial scholarship. I took it. Worked 25 hours a week at the Campus Tech Support Center, fixing broken computers for students who couldn't figure out email. Dorm rooms smelled like old pizza and regret. Walls thin enough to hear my roommate's entire League of Legends sessions at 2 a.m. But it was mine. Freshman year, I met a professor during orientation. Older guy, had worked at Oracle before teaching. Caught me rebuilding another student's laptop in the library commons. You understand systems architecture. Most kids your age just know how to swipe on apps. He offered me a spot in his advanced development seminar. 8 students, real-world focus, building actual products. That class changed my trajectory. By sophomore year, I'd built an inventory management system for small construction contractors. Nothing fancy, just software that let them track materials, equipment, and job costs without the nightmare platforms that cost $500 a month. Charged $75 for setup, $25 monthly. Got 4 clients before winter break. Real money, not life-changing, but proof the concept worked. My parents called maybe 3 times that semester. Always about Marin, her engagement to Wit, some finance bro from Connecticut old money. Wedding planning consumed every conversation. Did you hear about Marin's ring? 4 carats. Wit's family has a compound in the Hamptons. That's great, Mom. Are you even listening? Yeah, 4 carats. Very impressive. She sighed like I was the problem. Junior year, I expanded the construction software into full project management. Scheduling, payroll integration, client billing. The big companies wanted 60 grand a year. I offered equivalent functionality for 3 grand. Signed 14 clients by spring semester. Revenue hit 42,000. Quit the tech support job. One of my professors introduced me to a former student who ran a venture fund in Phoenix. Your instincts are sharp, the VC told me over coffee at some pretentious spot he chose. You're solving real problems for real businesses. Most kids are trying to build the next Instagram. You're building tools that actually make money. He didn't invest, too early stage, but he gave me advice that mattered. Pivot to supply chain security. Construction industry was getting hammered by materials fraud and equipment theft. Big contractors had logistics teams and insurance. Small contractors had nothing. That's when TrackCore started forming. Senior year, decision time. Microsoft wanted me in Seattle for 85 grand. Amazon had a spot in their AWS division for 90. Both came with equity, benefits, the whole corporate package. Or I could take my project management software, rebuild it for supply chain security, and go all in solo. Mentioned it during Christmas break. Huge mistake. You're turning down Microsoft? Dad stared at me like I'd announced I was joining a cult. That's guaranteed 6 figures in 5 years. Starting a business is suicide. Over 70% of startups fail, Marin added, surrounded by wedding fabric samples and flower catalogs. You'd be throwing away your entire future. Mom patted my hand. Not everyone has entrepreneurial instincts, honey. There's no shame in a stable corporate job. The unspoken part. Not everyone can be exceptional like Marin. That was fine. I'd stopped needing their validation around the time I realized they'd never offer it. 4 months after graduation, while my family obsessed over Marin's wedding, I moved to Phoenix with 14 grand in savings and a working prototype of TrackCore. Rented a studio in a sketchy part of Tempe. Building smelled like marijuana, and the AC sounded like it was dying every night at 3 a.m., but it was mine. And I was building something they'd never understand. First 18 months nearly broke me mentally, not financially. TrackCore's pitch was simple. Real-time tracking and security for construction materials and equipment. Small contractors were losing 6 figures a year to theft and fraud. Insurance barely covered it. I wanted to build a system that prevented loss before it happened. The tech was solid. Selling it was hell. 6 months of cold calling contractors, maybe 400 rejections. We don't need tracking. Too expensive. Call back when you have references. Couldn't get references without clients. Couldn't get clients without references. My team assembled slowly. Supply chain guy who'd done logistics for a major distributor for 15 years. Megan, front-end developer who understood user experience. Carlos, operations guy, who could stretch a dollar further than physics allowed. Then, the incident happened with one of our early clients. Guy seemed solid, ran 3 construction crews, had good references. We installed our tracking system across his entire operation in May. Throughout the summer, something felt increasingly wrong. Equipment kept disappearing right before our sensors logged movement. Materials vanished during narrow window gaps in our coverage. Turned out he was using our own data against us. He'd study the tracking patterns, identify blind spots in our sensor refresh rates. We had a 45-second gap during system updates, then coordinate thefts during those exact intervals. In a concentrated 6-week period between late June and early August, he stole 200 grand worth of equipment, sold everything through a fence operation in Tucson before anyone connected the dots. We only caught it because one contractor noticed their high-value laser level disappeared during the same 45-second window 3 days in a row. He got arrested, but we got sued by 3 other contractors who'd used our system, claimed our tracking enabled the theft by showing him exactly when and where to strike. They wanted damages, wanted us shut down, wanted blood. Legal fees drained our capital. 4 months sleeping on an air mattress in the garage, showering at a 24-hour gym, living on protein bars and gas station coffee. My team maxed out credit cards, keeping servers running. 1 bad week from shutting down entirely. My parents called once during this period. Marin's pregnant. We're going to be grandparents. Congratulations. They're buying a house in Connecticut. 6 bedrooms. We're helping with the down payment. Marin deserves something nice with the baby coming. I was sleeping in a garage, fighting a lawsuit that could destroy everything. But sure, Marin deserved help. The turning point came from the lawsuit itself. An attorney for one of the contractors reviewed our entire system during discovery. She called me directly. Your tracking software didn't enable this theft. Your contractor used it to identify vulnerabilities, but the underlying architecture is designed to prevent exactly what happened. The problem was user authentication protocols, which your current version already fixed. She testified that our system was actually more secure than industry standard. The case we built proved it. Our tracking logged everything, provided the evidence that got him convicted. We won. Word spread fast in construction circles. Within 10 months, we had 23 contractors signed. Revenue hit 7 figures. We moved into offices near Scottsdale. Hired employee 20, then 50. By year 3, we'd passed 100. My sister called once during this period. Mom said you're still doing that construction software thing. How's that going? It's going. Good for you. Listen, Whit and I are renovating our kitchen. Mom and Dad are helping, but we're a bit short. Could you chip in maybe 6,000? Family helping family. I was running a 100-employee company, sleeping 4 hours a night, negotiating contracts worth millions. Marin wanted 6 grand for granite countertops. Can't help right now. Seriously? We're family. Talk later, Marin. She never once asked how my company was actually doing. Year 5. TrackCore was embedded in projects totaling about 95 million a year. 280 employees. Contracts with construction firms in 32 states. Our tracking systems had prevented over 300 million in theft and fraud. Industry publications wanted interviews. Conference organizers wanted keynotes. My parents thought I worked IT support somewhere in Arizona. Acquisition offers started year 3. First was 8 million from a mid-sized logistics company. Too low. Second came year 4. 14 million. Closer, but still undervalued what we'd built. Year 5, Industria Tech came calling. Massive industrial supply chain conglomerate. The kind that doesn't advertise because everyone already knows them. They wanted TrackCore's technology, our client base, our team, wanted to integrate our systems across their entire North American operations. The offer was 22 million. Low on paper, high for what they needed. Our systems had legal precedent defending against fraud claims, and they were facing 3 major lawsuits over supply chain theft that our tech could prevent. I called my team. We'd survived the garage, the lawsuit, the 100-hour weeks. This is generational money, I said. But you built this with me. It's your call too. My supply chain guy spoke first. I'm 44. Been in logistics since I was 22. This is the first thing I've built that I'm genuinely proud of. But 22 million? My kids could go to college debt-free. I could pay off my parents' mortgage. Megan nodded. Same. This kind of money means my partner and I can actually start a family without financial stress. Carlos grinned. I'm in. But we negotiate better terms for everyone on the team. Everyone who helped build this walks away with something real. We spent 8 weeks negotiating. Final deal, 22 million acquisition, retention bonuses for all employees, equity in Industria Tech's supply chain division. Everyone who'd been with us over 18 months got at least 6 figures. Some got 7. The day the deal closed, I was worth approximately 16 million after taxes and distributions, at 27 years old. That night, I sat in my condo, modest 2-bedroom in Scottsdale, nothing flashy, and stared at the acquisition paperwork. Thought about calling my parents. Didn't. Megan had invited me to her partner's birthday dinner that weekend. Told me I needed to celebrate properly, be around people who actually cared. I'd made an excuse about travel plans. Truth was, I didn't know how to be around people celebrating me. Spent my whole life being invisible. Suddenly being seen felt uncomfortable. She'd looked hurt when I declined. 2 months later, she stopped inviting me to things entirely. The truth was simpler. I'd learned to be invisible so well that visibility felt like standing on stage in borrowed clothes, waiting for someone to point out the fraud. So I stayed in the shadows I knew. They'd already decided who I was in their narrative. Facts wouldn't change the story they'd been telling themselves for 3 decades. So I just didn't tell them. Invested most of the money. Set up a scholarship fund for overlooked kids interested in tech. Traveled. Tokyo, Barcelona, Auckland. Saw the world I'd been too busy building to explore. My parents called every few months. Always about Marin, her architectural firm's newest project, their new Mercedes, the kids' private Montessori school, Whit's promotion to senior partner, how they'd helped renovate the basement into a home theater. I gave vague updates about work and projects. They never asked for details. Then came the Thanksgiving invitation. Marin's email was formal, almost corporate. Whit and I are hosting Thanksgiving this year. Mom and Dad will be here. Would be nice to have the whole family together. I almost declined. Spent 4 days crafting polite excuses. But curiosity won. Maybe I wanted to see the life they'd built with all that support I'd never gotten. I'll be there, Marin replied within an hour. Great. Arrive Wednesday. Guest room on 3rd floor is yours. Mom and Dad get the primary suite. And please dress appropriately. Whit's parents will be attending. Even the invitation reinforced my place in the hierarchy. I booked the flight. First class because I could. Because flying coach felt like playing a role I'd outgrown. I had no idea I was about to detonate the entire family dynamic. Connecticut in late November looked like a postcard someone had photoshopped. Perfect autumn colors, everything staged. Marin's house was in Greenwich. Of course. Old money suburb, estate-sized lots, houses that cost more than most people earn in a lifetime. Their place was a modern colonial, circular driveway, professional landscaping, Probably an HOA that regulated mailbox fonts. Marin answered the door in designer everything. Quick hug, more performance than affection. You made it. Everyone's in the great room. She glanced at my shirt. Guest room's third floor. Dinner's at 6. Sharp. Not a request. A directive. The great room looked like it had been staged for a magazine shoot. Mom and Dad on a massive sectional. Whit by the fireplace with 2 older people. His parents, obviously. Same energy. Money that didn't need to explain itself. There he is. Mom jumped up, hugged me, immediately started adjusting my jacket. You look thin. Are you eating properly? Dad gave me the standard firm handshake. Good to see you, son. Whit approached with his practiced executive handshake. Glad you could make it. These are my parents. His mother offered a limp hand. So you're the Arizona brother. What is it you do out there? Before I could answer, Marin jumped in. He works with computers. Software development or something, right? Something like that? Whit's father. Tall, sharp eyes. The kind of guy who'd built something real before inheriting the rest. Studied me for a beat. Development for what sector? Supply chain security. Construction logistics. His expression shifted slightly. Interest, maybe recognition. Interesting niche. Specialized? Very. We'll have to talk more about that, he said, then turned back to Whit. But I caught him glancing at me twice more before Marin redirected everyone's attention. Mom settled back onto the sectional. Marin told us you're staying at the hotel downtown? That's convenient. I blinked. I thought the guest room. Oh, honey, that's Whit's office overflow right now, Mom said brightly. Documents everywhere. We didn't want you uncomfortable. The hotel's lovely this time of year. We're helping Marin with her kitchen renovation, Dad added, like this explained everything. Just finished funding the marble countertops, imported from Italy. $23,000 for materials alone. Marin smiled. The house is an investment. You understand. So they just refinanced again to pay for her countertops. But I got the hotel. Got it. Actually, I said slowly, the email said the third-floor guest room was mine. Marin waved a hand. Plans changed. The hotel's honestly better. You'll have privacy, room service, much more your speed anyway. Translation, we don't actually want you sleeping in our house. The important thing is we're all together for the holiday, Mom said firmly. Subject closed. Over the next hour, Marin kept dropping weird questions into conversation. Casual. Too casual. Mom was just asking, what was that street we lived on in Denver? The one with the weird name? Covington? Right. And what was that dog we had? The collie? We never had a collie. Oh, she laughed. Memory's fuzzy. Hey, what was your first pet's name? I completely blanked on it the other day. Red flag. Why? Just reminiscing. Mom and Dad were talking about it. But Mom and Dad weren't talking about it. They were watching TV. It felt off, but I wasn't giving her the satisfaction of a public scene in Whit's museum house. 20 minutes later. Hey, didn't you have a savings account at that credit union in high school? What was the name of that place? Why do you need to know? Just curious. I'm setting up accounts for the twins. Wanted to see what banks we used growing up. Another red flag. But I let it go. Then guests started arriving for pre-Thanksgiving drinks. Architectural colleagues, Whit's brother and his wife, neighbors. The house filled with Greenwich's finest, doing their polished human routine. Marin found me near the kitchen and lowered her voice. Sweet smile locked in place for anyone watching. Whit's colleague just arrived, the one who's deciding on his partnership track. I need you to be strategic tonight. When you meet people, maybe don't lead with the software thing. Tell them you're exploring opportunities. Sounds better. I stared at her. You want me to lie about my job. Not lie. Frame it differently. Whit's being evaluated. First impressions matter. So I should pretend I'm unemployed to make him look better by comparison. Her smile tightened. I'm asking you to be considerate. For one night. Is that really too much? Yeah. She grabbed my arm, nails digging in slightly. You know what? Fine. But the Wi-Fi's been spotty in the den. Since you work with computers, maybe you could actually contribute something useful and fix it? She said it loud enough that nearby guests heard. A few chuckled. The tech guy can handle that, one of Whit's colleagues said, amused. Mom appeared. Oh, he's wonderful with computers. He can absolutely take a look. She was smiling like asking your son to fix the Wi-Fi in front of guests was perfectly reasonable. I'm not IT support, I said flatly. Marin's jaw tightened. Wow. Okay, so you won't help position yourself appropriately. Won't help with Wi-Fi. What exactly will you contribute tonight? The room had gone quiet. People pretending not to watch while absolutely watching. Dad laughed. Actually laughed. Come on, son. It's just a router. Takes 5 minutes. I'm not doing tech support at a family dinner. It's not tech support, Marin said, voice dripping condescension. It's helping family, but I guess that's too much to ask. She walked away. Conversation resumed. And I stood there, realizing they'd just publicly assigned me the helps job and expected me to smile about it. I went upstairs to the third-floor room. Whit's office overflow was 3 boxes in the corner. The room was completely functional. They'd lied about the hotel to make it clear where I ranked. Phone buzzed. Text from Marin. Forgot to ask, what were the last 4 digits of your SSN? Need it for something. I didn't respond. Another text. Also, Mom was asking about your first car's license plate number. Sentimental reasons. I blocked her number. That night, we had casual pre-Thanksgiving dinner. Catered, naturally. Conversation orbited entirely around Marin's world, her firm's latest project, the kids' gifted program, their summer house in Martha's Vineyard, Whit's firm politics. Later, heading up to the third-floor room, I heard voices from the master suite, Marin and Whit talking. I slowed. Can't believe he's being difficult about simple requests, Marin was saying. The spare has one job this weekend. Blend into the background. The spare. He's your brother, Whit said mildly. He's the help. Mom and Dad get it. They know his role in this family. I kept walking, climbed to the 3rd floor, sat in the room they'd lied about being unavailable and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow was Thanksgiving. Marin had been planning for weeks. Caterers, place settings, photographer, the whole production. She'd sent me 5 texts about punctuality and appropriate attire. I had no idea that by tomorrow night, her perfect dinner would implode and I'd finally say everything I'd spent 27 years swallowing. Thanksgiving morning hit like a military operation. Marin was everywhere, directing caterers, adjusting flowers, checking place cards with the intensity of a general planning an invasion. The dining room looked like something from Architectural Digest. Hand calligraphy place cards, multiple crystal glasses per setting, floral centerpieces that probably cost more than my first month's rent in Tempe. Keep the twins occupied, Marin ordered. Not asked. Ordered. Just stay out of the way. So I hung with 7-year-old Sophie and Alder, built Lego towers, let them show me their tablets. Good kids, surprisingly real compared to the performance happening downstairs. Uncle Thayer, do you still make computers? Alder asked. Sort of. I built software that helps companies track their stuff. Sophie looked up from her Legos. Mommy says you're not very successful because you still work. She says successful people have other people work for them. I kept my face neutral. Different people define success differently. What does that mean? Means your mom and I see things different ways. That's okay. By noon, the house was packed. Whit's brother and his wife, architectural firm colleagues, elderly relatives, Marin's photographer friend capturing everything for memories. Professional photos now, Marin announced. Family first. We assembled in the great room. Marin positioned everyone with surgical precision. Mom and Dad front and center. Marin and Whit flanking them. Kids in front. Me shoved to the far edge, partially blocked by Whit's brother. Perfect, Marin declared. The photographer frowned. Maybe he should... No, the composition works this way. Trust me. I stood there, literally the edge character in my own family photo, and thought about the irony. In Marin's world, this positioning made perfect sense. I was optional, expendable. The person you could crop out if space got tight. By 3, we'd processed into the dining room in order of importance. Marin and Whit at the heads. Parents in positions of honor next to them. Me wedged between Whit's hard-of-hearing grandmother and an architectural colleague who'd apparently skipped breakfast. Whit stood for a toast. Blessed and grateful energy. Then the family tradition. Everyone shares what they're thankful for. Marin went first. Obviously. I'm thankful for my thriving firm, my appointment to the Regional Planning Board, the children's acceptance into the gifted program, and of course, our beautiful Martha's Vineyard property, where we'll create wonderful family memories. My parents beamed like she'd just solved world hunger. Mom's turn. I'm grateful for Marin and her beautiful family. And of course, both my children. Both my children. The afterthought edition? Classic move. The ritual made its way around the table. Generic gratitudes, polite applause. Eventually reached me. I'm grateful for building something from nothing, for learning that external validation is optional, for the freedom to define success on my own terms. Marin smiled tightly. Very philosophical. How nice. She signaled the caterers. Food started flowing. Turkey, sides, sparkling cider pairings. Everything perfect because Marin didn't do things halfway. Conversation settled into safe territory. Firm gossip, private school comparisons, Real estate values. Adults talking while I mostly observed and answered questions from Whit's grandmother, who kept calling me Marin's brother. Then Marin pivoted. Bright smile locked in place. Too bright. Actually, since we're all here, she looked at me. Whit and I are expanding the Martha's Vineyard house. We're asking family to contribute. Mom and Dad already pledged 20,000. We thought you could pledge 60. The room went quiet. No. Her smile tightened. It's a family investment. Still no. 60,000 is nothing for someone working in tech. Her voice got sharp. Unless you're exaggerating your situation. The way you talk about your company, I'm starting to think it's not as successful as you imply. The temperature dropped. Excuse me? You've always embellished. Made yourself sound more important than you are. I think you're working some basic IT job and calling it entrepreneurship. Maybe you're even struggling and too embarrassed to admit it. Marin, Whit started. No, I'm serious. This whole secretive act? The vague answers? Nobody builds something real and hides it from family, unless there's nothing to hide. Stop being dramatic and just tell us the truth, Mom said, exasperated. We're family. Dad nodded. If you're struggling, we can help. Just be honest. The room was watching, all of them backing her play. What company did you say you founded? Whit's father cut in, tone sharp. Trackcore. He went very still. Supply chain security. Yes. The shadow tracking protocol. The one that operates during sensor refresh gaps? Explain it. This was a test. 45-second vulnerability during system updates. We built a parallel tracking layer that activates during those gaps. Creates an invisible data trail. Thieves using the gap don't know they're being logged. He set down his fork slowly. That protocol saved my firm from a $3 million fraud scheme. I sat in on the vendor brief when our team evaluated it. He paused, studying me. Wait. Industria Tech acquired that system a couple years ago. Another pause. For $22 million. He looked at Marin. Your brother built that. His architecture is the reason my firm's supply chain is secure. And you just accused him of lying. Silence. Marin's face went white. 22? What? Million, I said quietly. She grabbed the table. That's not possible. We would have. You never asked. Why would you keep this from us? Dad's voice cracked. Because you decided who I was 30 years ago. Nothing I built would change that story. Marin was breathing hard. This is insane. You're saying you had millions while Mom and Dad were helping us with... She stopped herself. With your down payment? Your renovation? Whit's firm capital? Yeah. And you said nothing? Why would I? You made it clear where I ranked. I accepted it. I stood. I'm leaving. Wait, Mom started. Don't contact me again. I walked out. The Uber driver didn't ask questions. I checked into a different hotel across town, turned off my phone, and slept. The next morning, 17 missed calls, 43 texts. I opened the family group chat. Marin had spent the night posting screenshots. My LinkedIn, random tech companies, articles about startup failures. Marin 12:47 a.m. There's no listing of him as Trackcore's founder in any public records. This might be fabricated. Mom 1:45 a.m. Please just tell us the truth. We won't be angry if you embellished. Marin 3:33 a.m. I think he might be having a breakdown. The delusions, the isolation. We might need an intervention. I opened my photos, found the acquisition press release. My name, the terms. 22 million in black and white. Posted it to the chat. No caption. Muted the chat. Went back to sleep. At 7:12 a.m., my hotel phone rang. Front desk, careful voice. A woman was downstairs claiming to be my sister. She said there was a family emergency, that I was not in a good mental state, and she needed a key because I wasn't responding. She also told them I'd been lying about my finances, and she was worried I might do something stupid. Marin auditioning for her own Netflix limited series. I told the front desk, do not give anyone access to my room. I asked them to flag my reservation as no visitors, no exceptions, and to note the name of whoever was making the request. Then, I asked for hotel security. Security got on the line, calm but clipped. He said she was insisting she had a right to check on me because we were family. I told him family doesn't come with a master key. I asked him to log the attempt and keep her away from my floor. I hung up and started documenting. Screenshots of the group chat, timestamps, her intervention comment, everything. 10 minutes later, there was a knock. 2 cops, welfare check. Marin had actually called it in. I opened the door, stayed in the doorway, and kept it simple. I'm fine. I'm not a danger to myself. And this is a family conflict being dressed up as concern. I showed them the messages where she'd called me delusional and suggested an intervention. I asked for the incident number. If she wanted to weaponize systems, I wanted a paper trail. They left. I went downstairs for coffee and saw Marin through the lobby glass, pacing like she was waiting for the cops to deliver her a win. She spotted me and started heading toward the entrance. I turned around and went back upstairs. No conversation. No extra scenes. Through the glass, I watched her pull out her phone, gesturing frantically, probably calling mom, probably spinning a story about my breakdown. Let her. Every lie she told was another line item in the documentation file. Back in my room, my email had new security notifications, password reset attempts, unrecognized login. Not successful, but close enough to prove someone was tugging on doors. My phone buzzed with group chat pings. I ignored them. I called the front desk again and asked them to preserve any security footage from the lobby and elevator bank. Not because I wanted to be dramatic, but because people love to lie when there's no video. I asked for confirmation in writing, dated, and sent to my email. The manager hesitated, then agreed. I also asked for a copy of their incident log showing the attempted key request. If Marin wanted to play the concerned sister card, I wanted the receipt. It was a trap, just not a clever one. I texted my attorney. Need you on standby. Welfare check plus attempted hotel key request. I'm collecting evidence. He replied, don't delete anything. Don't engage. Perfect. I've been practicing don't engage since the Bush administration. She wanted a scene. I wanted a case number. Thanksgiving wasn't the argument. It was the moment they switched from guilt to tactics. At 9 a.m., my phone rang. My attorney. I need a cease and desist drafted today. Litigation hold. Preserve all communications. Serve it within 48 hours. What happened? I explained. This is your family. Exactly, which makes it worse. At noon, my phone lit up with bank alerts. Someone had tried accessing my accounts. Multiple attempts. Checking, savings, brokerage, the LLC. They'd used my mother's maiden name, my childhood address, my first pet's name. All the innocent questions from yesterday. Not innocent. The attempts were blocked by two-factor authentication, but the intent was clear. I called my attorney back. Add attempted unauthorized account access. I've got time-stamped alerts. Someone used personal information only my family knows. Information they were fishing for yesterday. He swore. That's wire fraud, federal. I know. Make sure the letter mentions I'm documenting everything and considering FBI referral. By 3 p.m., the cease and desist was drafted. Legal language. Stop talking about me. Stop accessing my accounts. Preserve all communications. Litigation is likely. Sent to all three. Parents. Marin. Wit CC'd as courtesy. I also sent my own letter. 10 pages. Every forgotten birthday. Every missed game. Every time they chose Marin. The financial disparity. $847,000 to her over 15 years, including her $400,000 education, multiple down payments, renovations, business capital, versus $6,000 to me. The Thanksgiving humiliation. The public lies. The attempted theft. You had 30 years to build a relationship with me. You chose not to. I'm respecting that choice by removing myself permanently. Do not contact me. All future communication goes through my attorney at $500 per hour. My phone started lighting up within minutes. Unknown numbers. Blocked them all. Then a voicemail from Mom, her voice shaking and breaking. Please call me. Please don't do this. Tell me what you want. Whatever you want. Please. One text from Dad appeared. Stop. Please. We'll do anything. Just don't escalate. I deleted both without responding. They'd had 30 years to ask what I wanted. Now they were only asking because I'd finally stopped being convenient to ignore. That night, I blocked all their numbers, changed every emergency contact to my attorney and my former business partner. Credit freezes on everything. New passwords, randomly generated, encrypted storage. Within 2 days, Marin's attorney reached out. She was dropping any lawsuit plans. Wanted mutual non-disparagement terms. No, I told my attorney. She gets nothing. If she speaks about me again, publicly or privately, I release every financial document showing how Mom and Dad bankrupted themselves funding her lifestyle. He paused. You're sure about this? Completely. Marin sent a notarized apology. 4 paragraphs admitting she lied, confirming my company's success, apologizing for questioning my mental health. It wasn't sincere, but it was documented. I hired a forensic accountant. The report came back. $847,000 to Marin over 15 years. Her $400,000 Northwestern education, wedding costs, down payments on their Connecticut house, multiple renovations, business capital her firm burned through, the Martha's Vineyard property contribution. My parents were 200,000 upside down on their house. Retirement depleted, living on Social Security. My college fund had been 6,000. I filed everything. Didn't release it. Just kept it ready. Within 3 weeks, consequences started landing. Witt's firm was finalizing his partnership review when a routine background check flagged family litigation risk. The welfare check. Police involvement. Marin's name on attempted fraud allegations. His managing partners requested clarification. Witt had to explain why his wife had filed a false police report about her brother's mental health while simultaneously attempting to access his bank accounts. He withdrew from partnership consideration. Stayed senior associate. Marin blamed me in texts to mutual family friends, texts that were immediately forwarded to my attorney and added to the file. My parents tried to refinance their house again to cover Marin's next project. The bank reviewed their financial history, saw the pattern of cash-out refinances, all funneled to one child's expenses. Denied. They couldn't afford the Martha's Vineyard expansion, couldn't afford the private school tuition increase, had to downsize their own lifestyle to avoid foreclosure. Marin's firm lost a major commercial project when the client's legal team ran standard due diligence. The cease and desist letters and police report came up in public record searches. The client wanted architects without active family legal disputes involving fraud allegations. Project went to a competitor. Word spread fast in architectural circles. 2 other firms withdrew collaboration offers. Her reputation, guarded more carefully than family bonds, developed cracks she couldn't repair. That was the nuclear part. Not the explosion at dinner, the aftermath. I didn't have to engineer anything. Just stayed quiet, documented everything, and let their own panic light every fuse. My attorney sent one final letter to all 3. My client has compiled extensive documentation of financial elder abuse, attempted identity theft, and filing false police reports. This material will remain confidential, provided all parties maintain absolute silence regarding my client. Any violation will result in immediate release of all documentation to relevant authorities and professional licensing boards. After that, silence, no more calls, no more texts, no more apologies or explanations. I walked away completely. I built something real while they built a story. My story didn't need them in it anymore. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.